If this book has found you, then you have entered the luckiest era of your life. Within the divine era lies the shift that turns coincidence into alignment and struggle into unseen favor. Your time is now, and something extraordinary may already be beginning to move toward you. The Divine Era. Introduction. In the heart of ancient wisdom, there exists a truth that has whispered through generations, a truth that now calls to you with unprecedented clarity. The divine era is not a distant promise, but a living breath that moves through your very being. You are not separate from this universal symphony. You are its most intricate instrument. Imagine, for a moment, that your consciousness is like a vast, luminous ocean. Each thought is a wave, each emotion a current, each belief a depth unexplored. The universe does not distinguish between your inner landscape and the world that surrounds you. They are one continuous dance of energy, of possibility. When you truly comprehend this interconnectedness, something remarkable happens. The barriers between what you perceive as possible and impossible begin to dissolve. They were never solid walls, but gossamer veils you had draped across your own perception. Your vibration, that unique energetic signature that is yours alone, is the most powerful transmission you will ever send into the world. It is not about forcing outcomes or manipulating circumstances. Instead, it is about attuning yourself to the frequency of what you wish to experience. Consider how a tuning fork, when struck, will cause another tune to the same frequency to resonate in sympathy. Your consciousness operates identically. When you align your inner state with the essence of what you desire, not just the surface desire, but its deepest emotional core, the universe begins to synchronize around you. This is not wishful thinking. This is quantum alignment. This is the science of consciousness meeting the poetry of spiritual understanding. You are not asking the universe to give you something. You are remembering that you are already intrinsically connected to everything you could ever want to experience. The divine era demands nothing from you except radical presence. It requires you to be so fully embodied in this moment that past limitations and future anxieties become transparent, like mist dissolving under morning sunlight. Your power resides not in controlling external events, but in your capacity to remain centered, to trust, to know. Every challenge you have faced has been a sacred invitation to grow, to expand, to remember your inherent wholeness. Those moments that seemed like obstacles were actually precise calibrations, realigning you with your truest path. The universe does not make mistakes. It responds, always. Your thoughts are not merely private musings happening inside your mind. They are energy signatures that ripple through the quantum field, creating resonance, attracting corresponding experiences. When you grasp this, you move from being a passive observer to an active creator of your reality. Abundance is not something that happens to you. It flows through you. Prosperity is not an external condition, but an internal state of knowing your own infinite worth. Success is not about acquiring, but about expressing the fullness that already exists within you. The divine era beckons you to release the old narratives of struggle, of lack, of unworthiness. These were stories you inherited, not truths you were meant to live. Your natural state is one of grace, of ease, of miraculous unfolding. As you read these words, something is already shifting. A remembrance is stirring. The part of you that has always known, that has always been connected to the infinite intelligence of the universe, is awakening. You are not learning something new. You are remembering something ancient. You are not becoming powerful. You are reconnecting with the power that has always been yours. This moment, right now, is your initiation. Welcome to the divine era. Before we get into the book, comment, "I am ready," to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Awakening of Alignment. Chapter 1. The Whisper of the Beginning. In the gentle unfolding of life's wisdom, you are about to discover a truth that resides not in grand gestures, but in the subtlest of moments. Consider Mabel Jennings, a woman whose transformation began with something as simple as a morning cup of coffee. One unremarkable morning, Mabel discovered something extraordinary. When she stopped her habitual rushing, when she allowed herself to breathe and be present, her coffee transformed. It was no longer just a caffeine delivery, but a rich, nuanced experience. More importantly, life itself seemed to shift, becoming more vibrant, more alive. This was not mere coincidence, but a profound spiritual principle. Your inner state creates your outer experience. When you cease the constant mental chatter, when you release the grip of perpetual doing, you create space for being. And in that being, magic awakens. The universe communicates in whispers, not screams. It guides through subtle nudges, a feeling, an intuition, a momentary pause that reveals deeper truth. When you quiet your inner noise, guidance becomes as clear and pure as birdsong at dawn. Take Henry Cole's journey as another illuminating example. When he lost his job, an event that would typically trigger fear and desperation, he discovered something remarkable. Instead of panic, he found an unexpected serenity. He realized that what appeared as rejection was actually divine redirection. This understanding shatters the illusion of lack. It reveals that every seemingly negative experience carries within it the seeds of transformation. The universe does not work against you, but always in profound alignment with your highest good. Your perception creates your reality. When you trust that each moment, regardless of how it appears, is precisely crafted for your growth, you step into a revolutionary way of experiencing life. Blessings rarely arrive in the package you expect, but always in the form you most need. Alignment is not about controlling outcomes, but about surrendering to the intelligent flow of life. It's about trusting that beyond your limited perspective, a greater intelligence is orchestrating your journey with exquisite precision. Practice. Allow a single calm breath to anchor you in the present, and let gratitude rise through you like light through glass, washing your worries clean and reminding you that you have already begun. Chapter 2. The River of Intention. You stand at the threshold of understanding, where the rhythm of life pulses not in hurried steps, but in the gentle flow of conscious intention. Your journey mirrors Clara Bowman's awakening, a transformation from frantic pursuit to graceful alignment. Clara had known only one way of moving through the world, racing, pushing, forcing her path forward with relentless determination. Each day was a battlefield of tasks conquered, deadlines met, opportunities chased. Her life felt like a constant sprint, believing that speed was the ultimate currency of success. But on one luminous summer afternoon, everything changed. Sitting by a tranquil stream, she witnessed water's remarkable wisdom. The stream did not fight its path, it simply flowed. Around rocks, through narrow passages, over smooth stones, the water moved with an elegance that spoke of profound understanding. It never struggled against its course, yet it always reached its destination. In that moment, you recognize the universal teaching. True movement is not about force, but about alignment. The stream teaches that your desires do not require aggressive conquest, but patient, intentional navigation. When you align your inner energy with your deepest truths, the universe conspires to support your journey. Albert Monroe's garden became another testament to this sacred principle. Where Clara learned flow, Albert discovered the power of patient cultivation. He had not demanded his flowers bloom instantly, but tended them with quiet faith. Each seed planted was an act of trust, each moment of care a prayer whispered to the earth. His flowers did not rush. They emerged precisely when they were meant to, transforming from tiny seeds to vibrant blooms in their own perfect rhythm. Albert understood that creation has its own intelligence, far beyond human impatience. The universe communicates in subtle languages, not through loud demands, but through gentle nudges, through the soft whispers of intuition and the quiet unfolding of natural processes. Your desires are seeds planted in the fertile ground of possibility, requiring nurturing, patience, and unwavering faith. Reflection. Practice. Reflect each evening on one desire not yet fulfilled, then release it with appreciation, knowing the river already carries it home. Chapter 3. The Mirror Within. You stand at the threshold of transformation, where the river of intention flows not through external landscapes, but through the vast internal terrain of your consciousness. Pearl Whitaker's journey illuminates a universal truth. Your inner dialogue shapes the world you experience. In the silent chambers of her dancing studio, Pearl had once listened to the echoes of critical voices, reviewers who dissected her performances, peers who measured her against impossible standards, and most painfully, her own relentless inner critic. Each harsh word was a stone cast into the waters of her self-perception, creating ripples of doubt that distorted her reflection. But on that pivotal morning, something shifted. As she gazed into the mirror, Pearl saw beyond the physical form. She witnessed the spirit of a dancer, resilient, graceful, inherently worthy. The whispered words, "I am enough," were not merely a phrase, but an incantation of self-love, a radical act of reclaiming her own narrative. The universe responds to your internal frequency with exquisite precision. When you transmute self-criticism into compassion, you alter the very fabric of your reality. Your thoughts are not passive observations, but active creators, weaving the circumstances of your life with each belief you nurture. Eugene Abbott's experience mirrored this principle. By softening his inner dialogue, speaking to himself with the same kindness he would offer a beloved friend, he discovered that the world around him began to reflect this newfound gentleness. Relationships that once felt rigid and challenging started to flow with unexpected understanding. This is the alchemy of intention. When you heal your inner landscape, the external world cannot help but respond. Your self-perception is the lens through which all experiences are filtered. Change the lens, and you transform the entire view. The river of intention does not demand forceful paddling or aggressive navigation. Instead, it asks for trust, a willingness to flow with the current of your deepest truth, knowing that every bend, every seeming obstacle is part of your sacred journey. Practice before sleep's embrace. As darkness softens the edges of your day, find a mirror. Look deeply into your own eyes. Smile, not with performative brightness, but with genuine affection. Let that smile be a tender whisper of self-love, a lullaby that rebuilds your reality from within. Gently speak to your reflection. I am enough. I am worthy. I am becoming. Allow this moment of connection to be your bridge between the day's experiences and the restorative realm of sleep. Your own loving gaze is the most profound healing you can offer yourself. Chapter 4. The Garden of Frequency. You stand at the threshold of understanding a truth as ancient as creation itself. Your inner landscape determines your external reality. Just as Hazel Quinn discovered in her quiet garden, every vibration carries a potency that nourishes or diminishes what surrounds you. Watch how Hazel moves among her herb gardens, her hands brushing against delicate leaves, her humming a gentle melody that seems to make the basil leaves curl and shine with deeper green. She knows something profound, that joy is not merely an emotion, but a living energy that communicates with all of life. When Hazel feels happiness bubbling from her heart, her plants respond. The basil leaves stretch wider. The rosemary stands more upright. The thyme releases its fragrant oils more generously. Her garden becomes a living testament to the invisible threads connecting all things, a symphony where each note influences the entire composition. Later in another garden, Clyde Horton understands this wisdom. His aging house plants, once wilting and pale, begin to resurrect under the tender spell of his singing. His voice, carrying love, hope, and gentle intention, becomes a resurrection spell. The plants lift their leaves, turn toward him, drink in his kindness like water. This is not mere sentiment, but a universal law. Your energy is a force that communicates beyond words, beyond physical touch. It whispers to the world around you, inviting response, calling forth transformation. You are not separate from your environment. You are its creator, its conductor, its most intimate collaborator. Every thought you think, every emotion you nurture, plants seeds in the fertile ground of existence. Practice. Imagine each thought as a seed planted in the soil of now. Water with gratitude and trust that abundance roots deeply beneath your awareness. Close your eyes. Breathe. Feel the potential of this moment, how your inner landscape is fertile ground waiting for the seeds of your deepest intentions. Chapter 5. The Door of Belief. In the tapestry of existence, you are the weaver, and your beliefs are the threads that create your reality. Millie Grant learned this truth not through grand revelations, but through the quiet transformation of her inner landscape. For years, Millie had watched life unfold around her, believing herself to be a spectator rather than a creator. Her world was a canvas painted in muted grays of limitation and quiet resignation. She believed fortunes were reserved for others, the lucky, the privileged, those seemingly blessed by an unseen hand. But on one ordinary Tuesday, something shifted within her. A whisper of possibility emerged, gentle yet profound. She realized that her belief in scarcity was the very barrier preventing abundance from flowing into her life. Each thought she had been nurturing was like a wall, blocking the river of potential that sought to reach her. Wallace Kent embodied this principle of expectant living. Where others saw obstacles, he perceived opportunities. His conviction wasn't born of delusion, but of a deep understanding that the universe responds to the frequency of belief. When he walked without money, without a mapped-out plan, something extraordinary happened. Doors opened, strangers smiled, unexpected connections emerged. Your frequency is your true currency. The energy you emit is far more powerful than any external circumstance. Just as a tuning fork vibrates and causes nearby objects to resonate, your inner state broadcasts a signal that the universe cannot help but answer. The great secret is not in trying to manipulate external conditions, but in aligning your internal state with the abundance you wish to experience. Your expectations are the silent architects of your reality, constructing bridges where others see only chasms. When you expect welcome, you become welcoming. When you anticipate support, you become supportive. The universe is not a distant, indifferent mechanism, but a responsive intelligence that mirrors your deepest convictions. Practice. Speak aloud something you wish to experience as if it were already true, feeling its warmth and letting that faith escort it into form. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Speak your desired reality with conviction. Let the words dance with emotion, with certainty. Feel the experience as if it is already yours. Allow the vibration of your words to ripple through your being, transforming belief into lived experience. Chapter 6. The Language of Light. You stand at the threshold of transformation, where words are not mere sounds but living energies that reshape your world. Doris Bell discovered this sacred truth when she began to listen to the whispers of her own language, noticing how each word carried a vibration that could either confine or liberate her spirit. In the quiet moments of her mornings, Doris observed the subtle power of her inner dialogue. Where she once muttered, "I can't," and "I'm not good enough," she now consciously replaced those limiting phrases with declarations of becoming. "I am becoming confident," she would say. "I am becoming abundant." Each word was a key unlocking dormant potential within her. The universe responds to your frequency, and your words are the tuning fork that sets that frequency. When Doris spoke of becoming, she noticed subtle shifts. Opportunities appeared where obstacles once stood, and her perception softened. Her words were no longer descriptions of her current state, but invitations to a more expansive reality. Leonard Brooks understood this principle through a different path. A man who had weathered countless challenges, Leonard realized that his habitual language of struggle was creating more resistance. Instead of complaining about difficulties, he began greeting each challenge with compassion. "This is teaching me something," he would say, his voice calm and curious. The transformation was not instantaneous but gradual. Leonard's world began to respond to his new frequency. Colleagues who once seemed antagonistic now approached him with collaboration. Problems that seemed insurmountable began to dissolve when met with understanding instead of frustration. Your words are architects of your experience. They construct the internal landscape where your external reality takes shape. Each declaration is a blueprint. each phrase a foundation stone of the life you are continuously creating. The power lies not in perfection, but in conscious choice. Every time you speak, you are casting a spell of sorts, calling forth energies that will dance into manifestation. Your language is a sacred technology, a bridge between the unseen potential and the tangible world. Whisper 3 sentences of praise for your life today, shaping your tomorrow with the kindness of your own voice. Chapter 7. The Field of Allowing. You have been taught that success is a battlefield where only the relentless conquer. But what if the greatest victory lies not in pushing, but in letting go? The universe whispers a secret known to those who have learned to listen. True power resides in surrender. Elsie Drummond knew the taste of exhaustion intimately. For years she had driven herself like a machine, believing that constant effort was the only path to achievement. Her days were a blur of calculations, strategies, and ceaseless motion, each moment consumed by the desperate need to control every outcome. Until one autumn morning, when her body and spirit simply refused to continue. Imagine a forest after a storm. The trees that bend survive, while those that resist break. Elsie's life had become that rigid tree, and surrender was her first gentle breeze. She stopped, truly stopped. In that stillness, something remarkable began to unfold. The energy she had been forcing began to move differently. No longer pushing against the current of life, she discovered a more elegant dance of allowing. Later, Virgil Tate would share a similar revelation. A man who had once chased success with corporate ferocity, he learned that true abundance arrives when the grip loosens. He began reading poetry, sitting in gardens, breathing without agenda. And in that spaciousness, opportunities emerged, not through his demanding, but through his being. This is the paradox of attraction. What you pursue runs away, but what you welcome approaches naturally. Your consciousness is a magnet far more powerful than your efforts. When you release the need to control, you align with a more intelligent flow. The universe responds not to your striving, but to your state of being. Your inner landscape determines the terrain of your external world. Struggle creates resistance. Acceptance creates movement. You are learning that surrender is not weakness, but the highest form of intelligence. It is trust made visible. It is knowing that the same force which spins galaxies and grows forests can certainly manage your life's unfolding. Practice. Set down your striving for one small moment each day and taste the sweetness of trust where effort once lived. Chapter 8. The Light Behind Contrast. In the tapestry of existence, you are not a victim of circumstance, but a master weaver of experience. Nora Chandler's journey illuminates a profound truth. What appears as hardship is often the universe's chisel, sculpting your spirit into its most radiant form. When Nora first lost her family business, she believed the world had turned against her. Years of careful building seemed to crumble overnight, leaving her with nothing but bitter memories and empty hands. Yet something within her, a whisper of wisdom older than her pain, suggested another perspective. Each challenge carries a hidden blessing, waiting to be unwrapped. Your struggles are not punishments, but refinements. They are the precise instruments of transformation, polishing your perception until you can see opportunities where others perceive only obstacles. Imagine a diamond deep within the earth. immense pressure and darkness do not destroy it, but instead create its most brilliant qualities. Similarly, your moments of greatest tension are preparing you for extraordinary manifestation. The universe does not create challenges to break you, but to reveal your true strength. Nora began to understand that her loss was not an ending, but a beginning. She realized that contrast, the space between what was and what could be, is the very fuel of creation. Her sharpened perception allowed her to see potential where once she only saw loss. The energy of allowing transforms struggle into grace. When you stop resisting and start accepting, you open channels for unexpected miracles. Your willingness to see beyond the immediate circumstance becomes the key that unlocks new realities. Like Rufus Lane, who found liberation in forgiveness, you too can transmute pain into possibility. Rufus's story demonstrates that when you release resentment, you make space for unexpected abundance. His forgiveness of the business partner who seemingly destroyed his dreams became the very foundation of a more aligned and prosperous venture. The universe responds to your inner state. Your perception shapes your reality more powerfully than any external circumstance. Each challenge is an invitation to grow, to expand, to remember your intrinsic connection to infinite potential. Practice. When discomfort appears, whisper thank you, recognizing it as the sculptor that carves you into readiness. Chapter 9. The Melody of Gratitude. In the soft light of early morning, you stand at the threshold of understanding, a place where gratitude becomes more than a word, but a transformative energy that reshapes reality. Flora Nash knew something most do not, that singing was not merely an expression of joy, but an invocation of abundance. Each morning, as sunlight spilled across her kitchen tiles, Flora would hum melodies that seemed to rise from somewhere deeper than her throat, from the very center of her being. These were not professional performances or rehearsed compositions, but spontaneous expressions of pure appreciation. Her songs were whispers of thankfulness, gentle declarations of wonder at the simple miracles surrounding her. The universe listens differently to gratitude. Where struggle creates resistance, thankfulness creates flow. When you appreciate what is, you open doorways to what can be. Flora's morning ritual was not about manufacturing happiness, but acknowledging the quiet blessings already present, the warmth of her coffee, the soft light filtering through windows, the rhythm of her own breath. Gradually her world began to shift, not through grand gestures or dramatic transformations, but through the subtle realignment that occurs when one's inner frequency matches appreciation. Opportunities seemed to bloom around her, not because she chased them, but because she was open to receiving them. Later, Clifford Page discovered a similar truth. A man once consumed by tracking his disappointments, he started a small notebook, not of complaints, but of gratitudes. Each evening he would record moments that might have gone unnoticed. A kind smile from a stranger, the unexpected warmth of sunshine, a minor kindness from a colleague. What Clifford realized was revolutionary. Every thank you was an energetic signal to the universe. Each recorded blessing was like a beacon, attracting more of what he appreciated. His notebook became a map of abundance, transforming how he perceived his experiences. The teaching is clear. Gratitude is not a reaction, but a creative force. It is the emotional language through which abundance communicates. When you speak this language, you do not simply acknowledge what is, you invoke what is possible. Your life is a canvas painted with the colors of your attention. What you appreciate, appreciates. What you notice with thankfulness begins to multiply, expanding beyond the boundaries of your current perception. Practice. End each day with one unspoken thank you to the unseen forces composing your next opportunity. Chapter 10. The Vision Made Flesh. You stand at the threshold of a profound understanding, one that transforms creation from a mere act into a sacred dialogue with the universe. Sadie Turner understood this language long before her brushstrokes became legendary in her small town. Her studio was not a temple of commercial success, but a sanctuary of pure expression. Each canvas she painted carried the luminescence of her inner joy, radiating a magic that transcended monetary value. Children would pause before her artwork, their eyes reflecting wonder, not because of technical mastery, but because they could feel the love woven into every color and line. Sadie never chased recognition. She painted because painting was her breath, her prayer, her communion with something greater than herself. Her joy was not dependent on external validation, but emerged from the pure act of creation. When she mixed colors, she was mixing emotions. When she swept her brush across canvas, she was conducting an orchestra of spirit. The universal truth whispers here. True manifestation is not about forcing outcomes, but about aligning with the frequency of love. Your creations, whether they be art, music, words, or dreams, are living entities born from your inner landscape. They carry the vibration of your intention, your passion, your pure delight. Like Sadie, you are an artist of life. Every moment is a blank canvas waiting for your unique expression. Your joy is not a luxury. It is the very currency of creation. Later in the same town, Calvin Pierce discovered this wisdom through woodworking. What began as a simple hobby of crafting wooden toys became a testament to the power of joyful creation. His workshop hummed with an energy of pure enjoyment. Each toy he carved was more than a product. It was a love letter to childhood, to imagination, to the simple pleasure of making something beautiful. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Calvin's joyful craftsmanship attracted attention. Parents would seek out his toys, not because they were marketed aggressively, but because they could sense the spirit of play and love embedded in each piece. His business grew not through strategy, but through the magnetic power of genuine passion. The universe listens to the language of joy. When you create from a place of pure delight, without attachment to outcomes, you become a conduit for miraculous unfolding. Your enthusiasm is the signal, and abundance is the response. Engage one small act today purely for joy, and watch how life multiplies its reflection back to you. Part 2. The Expansion of Energy. Chapter 11. The Compass of Clarity. You stand at the threshold of transformation, where the power of vision meets the precision of intention. Your desires are not random whispers, but sacred signals to the universe. Each thought a brushstroke, painting your incoming reality. Ruby Shaw understood this secret long before most. Her journals were not mere collections of scattered wishes, but carefully crafted maps of consciousness. Each evening she would sit in quiet reflection, allowing her thoughts to settle like gentle sediment, revealing the pure essence of her truest aspirations. When Ruby first began journaling, her desires were tangled, a web of half-formed wants and uncertain longings. She would write chapters filled with contradictions, wanting success but fearing failure, seeking love yet protecting herself from vulnerability. Her entries reflected the inner turbulence that many experience, where unclear intentions create a static that disrupts clear transmission. But as she practiced focusing her energy, something remarkable occurred. Her journaling transformed from a confused outpouring to a deliberate communication. She learned that the universe responds not to volume, but to clarity. Like a laser beam cutting through fog, her intentions became sharp, direct, and potent. Otis Harper witnessed a similar revelation. Where once he had bombarded the cosmic channels with multiple competing requests, he now chose a singular, resonant intention. By narrowing his focus, he discovered an extraordinary truth. Specificity is the language of manifestation. Your vision is not a passive dream, but an active force. When you align your inner landscape, clearing away doubt, releasing conflicting desires, you create a powerful transmitter. Your thoughts become signals so pure that the universe cannot help but respond. Imagine your desires as seeds. Scattered seeds might grow randomly, if at all, but a seed carefully planted, nurtured with focused attention and belief, will inevitably sprout. Your intention is that seed, and your clarity is the nourishing soil. The teaching is profound, yet simple. Muddled wishes scatter power while clear desires focus it. Your energy is not limitless. It is precise. Every thought carries weight. Every intention sends a signal. When you learn to clarify, to distill your deepest wants into their most essential form, you become a masterful creator. Practice. Write your next desire in a single serene sentence, and breathe as if its truth already surrounds you. Chapter 12. The Circle of Joy. In the grand tapestry of universal energy, you are a thread constantly weaving connection and possibility. Your ability to celebrate another's triumph is not merely an act of kindness, but a profound spiritual practice that transforms your own inner landscape. The story of Hattie Lowe whispers an ancient truth. When you genuinely rejoice in another's success, you unlock a sacred gateway of abundance. Envy contracts your spirit, creating walls that block the very blessings you seek. But celebration expands your consciousness, signaling to the universe that you are ready to receive. Imagine your inner vibration as a living, breathing entity. Each time you genuinely celebrate another's achievement, you're sending out waves of pure, unencumbered joy. This joy is not competitive, but collaborative. It understands that there is enough success, enough love, enough abundance for everyone. Marion Wells understood this principle deeply. When her colleague received a remarkable opportunity, she didn't shrink into comparison or resentment. Instead, she threw a celebration, filling the room with genuine happiness. Her heart was wide open, acknowledging that someone else's light does not diminish her own. The universe listens to these frequencies. It responds not to your words, but to the energy behind them. When you bless another's journey without reservation, you demonstrate a profound understanding. Success is not a limited resource to be hoarded, but an expanding energy to be shared. Your practice of celebration becomes a spiritual discipline. It requires courage to genuinely be happy for others, especially when your own desires seem distant. But in this practice, you align yourself with the most powerful creative force in existence, unconditional support. As you move through your days, watch how your inner landscape shifts when you choose celebration over comparison. Notice how opportunities begin to find you, not through struggle, but through an open, generous spirit. Practice. Each time you hear good news for another, silently bless it, aligning your energy with the same frequency of receiving. Chapter 13. The Silence Between Waves. In the vast symphony of existence, you are learning that rhythm is not just movement, but the sacred spaces between movements. Just as the ocean breathes its eternal pulse, rising, falling, and resting, your own energy flows in similar sacred cycles. Lois Palmer understood this wisdom intimately. She would stand at the shoreline, watching waves roll and retreat, noticing how each swell contained within it moments of profound stillness. The sea did not apologize for its pauses. It simply knew that rest was as essential to its nature as motion. This is the hidden truth of manifestation. Your energy is not a constant, unbroken stream, but a living, breathing cycle. Like the tide, you expand and contract, create and reflect, surge forward, and then pull back to gather strength. Each pause is not emptiness, but a fertile ground where inspiration takes root. When Amos Barber recognized this principle, his entire approach to life transformed. A relentless entrepreneur, he had always believed success meant constant action. But one summer, exhausted and creatively depleted, he stepped away from his business, not with guilt, but with understanding. In the quiet of his mountain cabin, Amos discovered that stepping back was not retreat, but renewal. He sat in stillness, watching mountain shadows shift, allowing his mind to drift like clouds. No forcing, no straining, just pure open awareness. And then, as naturally as a flower unfurling, inspiration arrived. Not through effort, but through allowing. A revolutionary business concept emerged, born from the fertile silence he had permitted himself. The very act of pausing had become his most potent strategy. Your journey mirrors this universal rhythm. The universe does not push, it invites. It does not demand constant output. It honors the sacred cycles of rest and creation. When you learn to trust these natural ebbs and flows, you align with a more profound intelligence. Manifestation is not about continuous doing, but about conscious being. It is about creating spaciousness within yourself where inspiration can breathe, where ideas can gestate, where your deepest truths can surface without being drowned by constant noise. Rest without guilt, and let ideas arrive like soft tides returning pearls. Practice. Find a quiet space today. Sit comfortably and take 3 deep breaths. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as the ocean, vast, patient, containing both movement and stillness. Allow any thoughts to drift like clouds across your inner sky. Do not chase them, simply observe. Rest for 10 minutes, knowing that in this pause, something beautiful is being born. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Invitation of Faith. You stand at the edge of possibility, where doubt meets faith and silence whispers its most potent secrets. Constance Bird knew this threshold intimately. a place where prayers seemed to dissolve into empty air, unheard and unanswered. She had spent years believing that the universe moved by rigid rules, that miracles were reserved for others, not for her. On a crisp autumn morning, with leaves dancing their quiet descent, Constance whispered a prayer so soft it was barely more than a breath. She sought not grand gestures, but a simple acknowledgement that she was not alone in her struggles. The prayer was a delicate thread cast into the vast tapestry of existence, its weight so light it might easily be forgotten. That same afternoon, a stranger approached her at a small cafe. An elderly woman with eyes that held wisdom like ancient rivers. She noticed Constance's weary expression and offered her a warm smile. Without explanation, she slipped a folded note into Constance's hand, a note containing precisely the guidance she had been seeking in her silent prayer. The universe does not respond to volume, but to vibration. Your deepest intentions resonate far beyond the sound of words, traveling through channels unseen yet profoundly real. Faith is the invisible bridge we build where logic ends, connecting the known with the magnificent unknown. Gordon Swann understood this principle intuitively. Where others saw risk, he saw opportunity. When an unexpected impulse suggested he abandon his carefully planned route and travel cross-country by train, he did not hesitate. Logic would have counseled caution, but something deeper, a whisper of intuition, guided his choice. On that train journey, surrounded by strangers and landscape shifting like a living painting, Gordon met the woman who would become his wife, not through calculation, but through trust in the unseen currents that guide human connection. These stories reveal a fundamental truth. Life rewards leaps made with confidence, not certainty. Your faith is a living energy, more powerful than any strategic plan. When you trust the invisible, miracles begin to take shape around you. Practice. Imagine yourself stepping onto that invisible bridge and feeling it hold strong beneath your joy. Close your eyes and sense the supportive energy beneath your feet, steady, sure, unbreakable. This bridge connects your current reality with the realm of infinite possibility. Each step is an act of trust, each breath a declaration of your alignment with unseen grace. Chapter 15. The Rose of Resilience. When storms sweep through your life, they are not destroyers but transformative messengers. You might perceive them as chaos, but the universe sees them as precise instruments of recalibration. Like Vera Holt's garden, which lay flattened and torn after violent winds, your internal landscape can emerge more vibrant and resilient after apparent devastation. Vera stood amidst her destroyed garden, her flowers scattered and delicate stems broken. Where another might have seen only loss, she saw an invitation. Her hands, weathered from years of nurturing life, began replanting with a tenderness that spoke of understanding. That destruction is merely a prelude to rebirth. Each seed she placed into the earth was an act of faith. She did not mourn what was lost, but celebrated what could grow. Her garden would not be the same as before, but it would be more authentic, more aligned with its true potential. This is the sacred dance of transformation, releasing what no longer serves to make space for what is meant to flourish. Milton Avery's journey mirrored this wisdom. After a love that shattered his expectations, he could have chosen bitterness. Instead, he chose gratitude. He thanked the heartbreak for clearing away illusions, for revealing paths he could not have seen while clinging to what was comfortable but not true. Your resilience is not about remaining unchanged, but about flowing with life's currents. When winds of change arrive, and they will, remember that they carry messages encoded in their very breath. They whisper of potential, of renewal, of paths not yet walked. The universe does not create storms to punish you, but to awaken you. Each challenge is a precise instrument of growth, calibrated to your exact spiritual frequency. What appears as destruction is often the most compassionate form of redirection. Trust emerges not from controlling outcomes, but from understanding that every experience carries wisdom. Your job is not to resist, but to listen, to plant, to trust. Practice. Place one hand on your heart and honor everything that rose back up after life's winds tried to bend it. Chapter 16. The Dance of Trust. You stand at the threshold of life's most exquisite invitation, the moment when inner whispers become louder than external noise. Sophie Briggs understood this secret long before most. Where others constructed rigid frameworks of expectation, she learned to dance with unseen currents of guidance. Her intuition was not a vague concept, but a living intelligence, a precise navigational system calibrated by the divine. Each time she released her grip on meticulously planned outcomes, extraordinary alignments emerged. Meetings that seemed random were actually choreographed by a wisdom far beyond human calculation. When Sophie allowed herself to follow those gentle nudges, those soft impulses that flutter beneath rational thought, she discovered pathways impossible to map through logic alone. Her professional life transformed from a series of calculated steps to a fluid journey of synchronistic encounters. Chester Young's story echoed this universal principle. A man, once imprisoned by spreadsheets and precise scheduling, he gradually learned to breathe space between his plans. Inspiration became his true compass, leading him through doorways he could never have intellectually designed. Intuition speaks in whispers, not commandments. It guides through sensation, through a feeling that rises from your core, a knowing that cannot be explained, but can absolutely be trusted. When you learn to listen, life begins to organize itself around your inner music. This is not about abandoning structure, but about allowing structure to emerge from a deeper intelligence. Your rational mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. True guidance flows when you create space for something greater than your thinking to lead. Imagine your intuition as a luminous thread, constantly weaving connections invisible to the rational mind. Each time you follow its gentle tugging, you align with a more expansive intelligence. The universe does not require your forced effort, but your receptive attention. Trust becomes your most profound practice, not a passive waiting, but an active listening, a willingness to be led by something more intelligent than your limited perspective. Your intuition knows pathways your mind cannot comprehend. When Sophie or Chester followed these inner promptings, they discovered that miracles do not require grand gestures. They emerge through small, courageous acts of listening. A conversation accepted, an invitation followed, a direction shifted by a whisper. Practice. Move gently today, noticing how grace rearranges circumstances when you follow quiet inner music. Chapter 17. The Glow of Generosity. The rhythm of giving flows like an ancient river, carrying more than what leaves your hands. It transports the very essence of connection. You are not separate from the universe's grand design, but a vital current within its infinite stream. When Lillian Crane first learned the art of unconditional giving, she did not comprehend its deeper magic. Her generosity emerged not from calculation, but from a quiet understanding that abundance is not a finite resource to be hoarded, but an ever-renewing energy to be circulated. Each time she offered help without expectation, a warm meal to a stranger, a listening ear to a troubled neighbor, a small gift given without desire for recognition, something extraordinary occurred. The universe responded not with measured reciprocity, but with a symphonic abundance that seemed to multiply her original gesture tenfold. Her kindness was not transactional, it was transformational. She discovered that true giving originates from a place of wholeness, not lack. When you give from a place of fullness, you acknowledge that you are never diminished by sharing, but instead become a conduit of divine flow. Harvey Todd's journey mirrored this profound truth. As he began mentoring urban youth, he thought he was offering guidance. Instead, he found himself being mentored by life's own wisdom. Each moment spent with young souls seeking direction renewed his own faith, reminding him that purpose is not found, but awakened through service. The act of giving, you will learn, is a sacred dialogue between your inner spirit and the universal consciousness. It transcends material exchange, touching something far more luminous, the interconnected web of human experience. Your generosity becomes a bridge, not just between individuals, but between seen and unseen worlds. When you give without attachment, you align with a higher frequency of existence, where lack dissolves and abundance becomes your natural state. Look for one silent opportunity to give today and feel the luminous exchange already replenishing you. Chapter 18. The Echo of Forgiveness. You carry wounds like ancient maps, tracing paths of hurt that seem impossible to erase. But what if forgiveness were not a weakness, but the most profound strength you could manifest? Imagine your heart as a living landscape where every held resentment is a stone blocking the natural flow of energy. Ida Morton knew this landscape intimately. For decades she preserved her pain like a relic, polishing each memory of betrayal until it became a shield. Her reflection grew hard, the softness of her eyes replaced by a steely determination to remember every slight. Each morning, she would rehearse old injuries, letting them play like worn recordings in her mind. But pain, when held too long, transforms the holder more than the remembered event. Slowly, Ida began to understand that her resentment was not protecting her. It was imprisoning her. The walls she had built to keep hurt away were also blocking love, opportunity, and healing. The universe whispers its wisdom through unexpected channels. For Ida, this wisdom arrived not with dramatic revelation, but with a quiet understanding that forgiveness was not about absolving another's actions, but releasing herself from the weight of carrying those actions. Sam Brewer's journey mirrored this truth. His relationship with his father had been a landscape of unspoken tensions, decades of misunderstandings calcified into silence. When Sam finally chose to forgive, it was not for his father, but for himself. The moment he released the old narratives, something extraordinary happened. not just in his inner world, but in the very fabric of his external reality. Debts that had seemed immovable began to dissolve. Opportunities he had never anticipated started appearing. It was as if forgiveness was a key that unlocked not just emotional chambers, but practical pathways of abundance. The teaching crystallizes. Forgiveness is an energetic act of liberation. It is not about condoning past actions, but about reclaiming your own power. When you forgive, you are not saying what happened was acceptable. You are declaring that you are larger than any harm done to you. Your energy is a living, breathing ecosystem. Resentment acts like a toxin, slowly poisoning your ability to receive, to love, to grow. Forgiveness is the antidote, a powerful medicine that restores circulation to your spiritual and emotional body. Breathe one memory into light and let it dissolve in compassion as your energy clears its echo. Chapter 19. The Infinite Table. You stand at the threshold of understanding a profound universal truth. Abundance flows through you, not just to you. Opal Reeves embodied this wisdom without intellectual complexity, her actions speaking louder than any philosophical discourse. When neighbors were hungry, she did not count her meager resources, but opened her modest kitchen, serving warmth alongside humble meals. Her generosity seemed to defy mathematical logic. Each time she shared, her own pantry mysteriously replenished, not through calculated transactions, but through an invisible current of trust. The universe recognized her open heart and responded in kind, filling her shelves with unexpected provisions. Glenn Foster walked a similar path years later. During economic hardship, he transformed his small cafe into a sanctuary of compassion. When struggling families entered, he did not measure portions or calculate profit margins. Instead, he served nourishment freely, believing that kindness was its own currency. What appeared as financial risk became his greatest investment. His cafe became more than a business. It became a living testimony to the principle that generosity creates its own abundance. Customers who could not pay today returned when fortunes shifted, bringing not just money, but deep loyalty. The teaching crystallizes. Prosperity is not about accumulation, but circulation. Like blood moving through a healthy body, wealth thrives when it moves, when it serves, when it connects. Your resources are not meant to be trapped, but to flow, carrying life's energy from one hand to another. Understand that every act of sharing is an affirmation of abundance. When you give without expectation, you declare to the universe that lack is an illusion. You demonstrate trust in an intelligent, responsive system that knows how to balance and restore. Your wealth is not determined by what you hold, but by what you are willing to release. Each offering becomes a seed, each gesture of generosity, a signal that you understand the deeper rhythms of prosperity. Practice. Visualize sitting at an endless table where giving and receiving are the same blessing served in turn. Chapter 20. The Bridge of Joyful Work. In the quiet moments before dawn, you awaken to a truth that has been whispering at the edges of your consciousness. Work is not a burden to be endured, but a sacred canvas where your spirit paints its most intimate expression. Cora Fields discovered this transformative wisdom when she was trapped in a cycle of monotonous administrative tasks, her spirit feeling crushed beneath the weight of repetitive labor. Each morning, As she sorted through endless paperwork and responded to mundane emails, Cora began a subtle inner revolution. Instead of sighing with resignation, she started blessing her work. "This filing is holy," she would murmur. "This spreadsheet is my contribution to the world's order." Her words were soft, almost imperceptible, but their vibration began to shift everything around her. The universe listens not to the volume of your voice, but to the intention behind your breath. Cora's blessing transformed her workplace from a landscape of tedium to a sanctuary of purpose. Her colleagues noticed a change. Her energy was different. Where once she seemed dragged down by responsibility, now she moved with a quiet grace, her fingers dancing across keyboards, her smile illuminating the smallest interactions. Dennis Blake understood this sacred alchemy in his own way. A construction worker whose days were filled with heavy lifting and precise measurements, he discovered that joy could be a tool more powerful than any wrench or hammer. He began to whistle, not just randomly, but with a melody of gratitude. Each whistle was a prayer, each movement a dance of appreciation for the work beneath his hands. His supervisors watched, bemused at first, then impressed. Dennis wasn't just completing tasks, he was celebrating them. His whistling carried a frequency of joy that seemed to make the very materials he worked with more cooperative. Scaffolding seemed to align more easily. Measurements fell into place with remarkable precision. The teaching here transcends mere positive thinking. It is about recognizing that every task, no matter how small, is a thread in the grand tapestry of creation. Your work is not separate from your spiritual journey. It is your spiritual journey. When you bless your labor, you transform it from a transaction into a sacred ritual. Imagine your daily responsibilities as an altar where you make continuous offerings. Your attention, your care, your willingness to be fully present. These are the most profound gifts you can offer. The universe does not distinguish between grand gestures and humble tasks. It responds to the energy of devotion. As the chapter draws to a close, a practice awaits you, a bridge between understanding and embodiment. Approach your work today as sacred play and feel how grace stands beside you, holding the next open door. Part 3. The Arrival of Radiance. Chapter 21. The Window of Wisdom. In the gentle stillness between thoughts, you discover a power more potent than words, the art of listening. Your inner world is not a battlefield to be conquered, but a sacred sanctuary where wisdom whispers its most profound truths. Betty Harmon understood this secret long before most. While others rushed to fill conversational spaces with noise, she cultivated a rare presence, quiet curiosity. Her listening was not passive, but an active invitation for understanding to emerge. Each time she turned her attention inward, soft revelations bloomed like unexpected flowers. The universe communicates not through thunderous declarations, but through subtle nudges and quiet insights. When you learn to listen, truly listen, you become a vessel for divine guidance. Your ears hear words, but your heart comprehends the melody beneath them. Philip Marsh embodied this principle in his approach to human interactions. Where others saw conflict, he saw an opportunity for understanding. During heated discussions, he would breathe deeply and open his heart, transforming potential arguments into bridges of connection. His calm listening became a powerful alchemy, turning discord into harmony. The teaching here transcends mere communication. It speaks to a deeper spiritual principle. Surrendering your need to be right creates space for something more magnificent: mutual understanding. When you release the urge to defend, explain, or convince, you make room for wisdom to enter. Your opinions are often just protective barriers, constructed from past experiences and learned narratives. But true insight arrives when these barriers dissolve. Like a clear mountain stream, understanding flows most freely when its path is unobstructed. Listening is not weakness, but the highest form of strength. It requires courage to remain open, to suspend judgment, and to allow other perspectives to breathe. In this spaciousness, transformation occurs, both within yourself and in your relationships. The divine speaks in whispers, not because its message is insignificant, but because profound truths require a receptive heart to be heard. Your ability to listen, to yourself, to others, to the subtle rhythms of life, determines the depth of your spiritual understanding. Practice. Sit in silence until one soft insight arises, and thank it for arriving unforced. Chapter 22. The Symphony of Connection. You have been walking a path of personal transformation, learning that your inner world radiates far beyond the boundaries of your individual experience. June Palmer's story whispers an essential truth. Your alignment is not a solitary journey, but a collective symphony. When June first understood that helping others find their inner rhythm could amplify her own joy, she discovered something profound about the universal energy that connects all beings. Imagine your consciousness as a musical instrument, uniquely tuned but part of a larger orchestra. Each time you assist another in finding their true frequency, you create harmonic resonance that extends beyond what your eyes can see. The universe listens to collective intention. It responds not just to individual desires, but to the unified vibration of hearts moving in synchronized purpose. June noticed how her own life transformed when she stopped viewing her spiritual growth as a personal achievement and started seeing it as a collaborative dance. Amos Franklin understood this principle deeply. By organizing community meditations, he wasn't just gathering people in a room. He was creating an energetic network, a living, breathing connection that transcended individual limitations. His local gatherings became portals of transformation, where individual healing merged into collective awakening. Your power lies not in isolation, but in connection. Every kind word, every moment of genuine support, every shared breath of understanding creates ripples that touch realms beyond immediate perception. The wisdom of alignment is not about perfecting yourself in solitude, but about recognizing the inherent connection between all beings. When you help another tune their inner instrument, you simultaneously adjust your own. The energy flows both ways, a beautiful, reciprocal exchange that defies linear understanding. Your compassion becomes a bridge, your empathy a healing frequency that resonates through unseen dimensions. The teaching is clear. We are not separate. We are intricate threads in a vast living tapestry of consciousness. Your personal growth is not just about you. It's about the collective elevation of human potential. Practice. Extend inward goodwill to everyone in your orbit and sense the symphony swell around you. Chapter 23. The Flame of Purpose. In the grand tapestry of existence, you are not merely a thread, but a conductor of light. Your purpose does not reside in distant horizons or complicated quests, but in the simple, sacred act of illuminating the path for others. Consider Dorothy Barton, whose journey reveals a profound truth. Meaning is not a destination to be reached, but a living energy to be shared. Dorothy walked through life feeling disconnected, searching for significance in achievements and external validations. Her heart whispered of a deeper calling, yet she could not hear its melody. Then, one ordinary afternoon, she began volunteering at a local community center, teaching reading to adults who had never before held a book with confidence. As she sat beside her first student, an elderly man whose hands trembled while turning chapters, Dorothy discovered something extraordinary. With each word they decoded together, with each moment of understanding that lit up his eyes, she felt her own inner flame growing brighter. She was not just teaching reading, she was witnessing human potential unfurl like a delicate wing. This was purpose. Not a grand, thunderous revelation, but a quiet, persistent light. The flame inside grows by lighting others, illuminating their path so that they might see their own inherent brilliance. Dorothy realized that service was not about grand gestures, but about genuine connection, about seeing the humanity in each person and nurturing their unique spark. Later, Russell Hicks embodied this wisdom through his art classes for children. Where others saw mere painting and drawing, Russell saw transformation. Each brushstroke became a conversation, each color a language of possibility. His students weren't just learning technique. They were discovering their capacity for creativity, for expression, for joy. Art is not about perfection, Russell would tell his young students. It's about revealing the beauty that already lives inside you. And in teaching them, he found his own life illuminated. Purpose, he understood, is where joy meets usefulness, where your deepest passion intersects with the world's profound needs. These stories whisper a universal truth. Your significance is not measured by personal accomplishments, but by the light you kindle in others. Every act of genuine service, every moment of compassionate presence is a sacred contribution to the collective human experience. Practice. Ask your heart how it prefers to shine today and let that impulse lead one luminous action. Chapter 24. The Breath of Presence. You stand at the threshold of a profound revelation, one that has eluded you through years of constant motion and future-driven anxiety. Like Carrie Holcomb, you are about to discover that the most transformative journey occurs not in distant horizons, but within the sacred landscape of this very moment. Carrie's story is your story. She had spent decades racing against imaginary clocks, her mind perpetually leaping forward, constructing elaborate scenarios of potential challenges and catastrophes. Her life was a constant projection until illness became her unexpected teacher. When illness slowed her rapid movements, something extraordinary happened. Each breath became a universe. Each moment expanded beyond the narrow constraints of worry. She realized that her previous life had been lived in anticipation, always preparing, never truly arriving. The universe whispers its most profound teachings in moments of stillness. For Carrie, this stillness arrived through physical limitation, but for you, it can arrive through choice. Presence is not something that happens to you. It is something you enter, deliberately and with grace. Floyd Warren understood this wisdom differently. A businessman accustomed to rapid decisions and constant strategizing, he began practicing deep breathing before making any choice. What seemed like a simple physical act became a portal to inner guidance. Each deliberate breath created space, a sacred interval between stimulus and response where intuition could emerge. Your awareness is a luminous instrument more precise than any external technology. It is your divine GPS, calibrated not by satellites, but by the subtle energies of your inner landscape. When you breathe consciously, you tune into a frequency of knowing that transcends logical thinking. The teaching here is radical in its simplicity. Awareness is the miracle you continuously overlook. You are already complete. You are already guided. The only thing separating you from this understanding is your habit of mental projection. Presence transforms panic into peace. It converts future-oriented anxiety into the rich, alive experience of now. Each breath becomes an invitation to return, to yourself, to this moment, to the intricate miracle of existence. Your mind may resist this invitation. It will offer stories of complexity, of necessary worry, of potential risks. But remember, true wisdom resides in the spaces between thoughts, in the quiet moments of pure perception. Practice. With every breath, feel the now as eternal and yourself as safely home within it. Inhale deeply. Let your breath move through you like a gentle wave of consciousness. Feel its rhythm, not as something you do, but as something that breathes you. You are not separate from this moment. You are this moment, experiencing itself through your awareness. Chapter 25. The Ocean of Oneness. In the soft whispers of coastal winds, you discover that separation is but an illusion crafted by the mind's narrow perception. Nellie Barrett understood this truth not through intellectual reasoning, but through the profound experience of meditation, where boundaries between self and universe gently dissolved. As she sat near the shoreline, waves rhythmically caressing the sand, something extraordinary happened. Her breath synchronized with the ocean's pulse, and suddenly she realized she was not merely observing the landscape, she was the landscape. The water moving before her was no different from the water flowing within her veins. The air breathing through her lungs was the same breath animating the entire cosmos. Unity, she learned, is not a concept to be understood, but a living, breathing reality to be experienced. Each wave rises momentarily, distinct and individual, yet inevitably returns to the vast, interconnected sea. Your own existence mirrors this eternal dance. You are simultaneously unique and part of something infinitely larger. This understanding carries a profound revelation. Fear cannot survive in the recognition of oneness. When you perceive yourself as separate, vulnerability and threat become real. But when you recognize your fundamental connection to all that is, protection emerges from within, not as a defensive wall, but as a compassionate embrace. Later, Curtis Holmes would embody this wisdom in his personal journey. Estranged from friends for years, he suddenly understood that their conflicts were not about external disagreements, but internal reflections. Each person who challenged him was actually presenting a mirror, revealing unresolved aspects of himself. In a moment of profound clarity, Curtis reached out. He recognized that the very qualities that had irritated him in others were undeveloped or suppressed parts of his own being. Forgiveness flowed not as a noble gesture, but as a natural consequence of understanding. There was never truly any separation to heal. The universe communicates through such synchronicities, guiding you back to your essential nature of interconnectedness. Every relationship, every interaction becomes an opportunity to remember. You are not an isolated being, but a unique expression of a vast, loving intelligence. Imagine merging your heart with universal compassion and drift peacefully into its boundless tide. Chapter 26. The Lantern of Trustworthiness. In the tapestry of universal connection, you are a thread of profound authenticity, woven with intention and grace. Agnes Ford understood this sacred truth when she decided to live without masks, revealing her true self to the world around her. Her journey began not with grand declarations, but with small, courageous moments of genuine expression. When Agnes first embraced her authentic self, she discovered something remarkable. Integrity is not about perfection, but about alignment. Her workplace, once a landscape of polite pretense, transformed as she spoke her truth softly yet firmly. Colleagues who once maintained distant professional boundaries began to see her differently, not as someone to be managed, but as a beacon of genuine human experience. The universe responds to authenticity like a tuning fork responds to perfect pitch. Each time Agnes chose honesty over convenience, she noticed subtle shifts. Conversations became more meaningful. Relationships deepened. Opportunities that once seemed closed suddenly appeared, as if her transparent energy had dissolved invisible barriers. Harold Brown's path mirrored hers, though his journey of authenticity emerged through vulnerability. Where many would have hidden past mistakes, he chose to speak them aloud, not with shame, but with the quiet dignity of someone who has learned and grown. His public admission was not a confession, but a declaration of human growth. In revealing his truth, Harold discovered an unexpected alchemy. The very mistakes he once feared became bridges of connection. Colleagues and friends saw not weakness, but courage. Respect flowed not from perfection, but from the raw honesty of his narrative. The teaching whispers a profound truth. When you align with your genuine self, you become a clear channel for universal energy. Pretense creates static. Authenticity creates conductivity. Your light does not diminish through transparency. It amplifies, touching others with its pure, unfiltered radiance. This is not about performative vulnerability, but about a deep, quiet commitment to your inner truth. Each moment you choose authenticity is a moment you harmonize with the greater symphony of existence. You are not just revealing yourself. You are revealing the universal connection that binds all beings. As the chapter reaches its sacred conclusion, a practice emerges, an invitation to transformation. Speak your next truth kindly but wholly, feeling your energy unclutter into luminous simplicity. Chapter 27. The Feather of Ease. The Lantern of Surrender, the Art of Effortless Flow. You stand at the threshold of your most profound understanding, that true manifestation is not a battle, but a dance. When Jenny Carter discovered this secret, her entire world transformed. Her life had been a series of calculated moves, each step meticulously planned, each decision weighed down by anxiety and overthinking. But something shifted when she learned to breathe. The universe whispers its guidance not through complex strategies, but through the gentle language of ease. Your natural state is not struggle, but alignment. Like a river flowing toward the ocean, you are designed to move with inherent grace. Your efforts do not create success. Your surrender invites it. Jenny's revelation came unexpectedly. She had spent years constructing elaborate plans, believing that hard work was the only path to achievement. Her mind was a tangled web of contingencies, each thought a potential trap. Then one morning, she simply stopped. She sat quietly, watching sunlight drift across her kitchen floor, and realized that her constant strategizing was actually blocking her own potential. Efforting, she understood, stems from fear. Allowing emerges from wisdom. This is not passive resignation, but active trust. Imagine your desires as delicate seeds. Forceful digging and constant manipulation will only damage their potential. Instead, create the right conditions. Fertile soil of belief, gentle waters of patience, warm sunlight of expectation, and watch them naturally bloom. Later, Amos Dudley embodied this principle through his music. He didn't chase compositions, he allowed them. His songs emerged not from rigorous practice, but spontaneous joy. When he released his attachment to perfection, melodies flowed through him like wind through open windows. Opportunities began arriving without his demanding them. Record producers, collaborations, invitations, all drawn to the authentic frequency of his unforced creativity. Your power resides in your ability to trust. Each time you surrender control, you signal to the universe that you are ready to receive. Your relaxed state becomes a magnet for miraculous alignments. Practice. Smile at your own simplicity, trusting that the breeze knows exactly where you belong. Take a moment, close your eyes, breathe deeply. Feel the invisible currents of possibility moving around and through you. You are not separate from these currents. You are part of them. Let go. Trust. Allow. Chapter 28. The Crown of Celebration. In the delicate dance of existence, you are learning that ease is not passive, but a profound state of active receptivity. Marjorie Steele understood this secret, a secret so simple it often eludes the restless mind. Her life became a canvas where gratitude painted abundance in brushstrokes of quiet joy. Each sunset she witnessed was not merely a visual spectacle, but a sacred ceremony of appreciation. When she paused to truly see the golden light cascading across the horizon, transforming sky into molten amber, something shifted within her. These moments of pure celebration were not trivial. They were portals through which abundance could enter. The universe listens to the language of genuine appreciation. Your heart's genuine delight creates resonance, a vibrational invitation for more beauty to arrive. Marjorie knew this instinctively. She celebrated small moments, a warm cup of tea, a bird's unexpected song, the soft breeze carrying whispers of possibility. Later, Ray Taylor discovered a similar truth. Where most saw bills as burdens, he chose to see them differently. Each invoice became an opportunity to express gratitude. "Thank you for the electricity that lights my home," he would whisper. "Thank you for the water that nourishes me." His gratitude transformed financial transactions from obligations into celebrations of interconnectedness. Unexpectedly, new income streams began to flow toward Ray, not through desperate searching, but through the gentle magnetism of his appreciative spirit. He had discovered that celebration is not about grand gestures, but about recognizing the miracle inherent in every moment. Your wealth expands in direct proportion to your ability to appreciate what already exists. When you treat each experience as a gift, you become royalty in the kingdom of abundance. Your throne is not made of gold, but of pure, unadulterated appreciation. The practice is simple, yet profound. Treat this very moment as a festival of being alive and watch prosperity dance toward you. Close your eyes, breathe, feel the miracle of your breath, the mystery of your existence. Whisper thank you, not to anyone specific, but to the vast, intelligent universe that supports your every heartbeat. Chapter 29. The Path of Radiant Living. In the dance of life, you are the choreographer of your own radiance. Every step, every breath, every thought carries the potential to transform not just your inner landscape, but the world around you. Eleanor Gibbs understood this sacred truth long before most would recognize its power. Each morning, as dawn's first light would kiss the horizon, Eleanor would walk her neighborhood streets with an inner rhythm of peace. Her steps were not merely physical movements, but intentional declarations of harmony. "I am peace," she would whisper. "I am kindness." These were not just words, but vibrational offerings to the universe. What emerged around her was nothing short of miraculous. Strangers would smile more warmly. Neighbors would wave with genuine connection. The very air seemed to soften in her presence. Eleanor wasn't trying to change anyone. She was simply being a living transmission of the energy she wished to experience. Her practice was a quiet revolution. By choosing joy as her default state, she became a lighthouse of possibility. People near her would inexplicably feel lighter, more hopeful. Her radiance wasn't about grand gestures, but about consistent, gentle alignment with her highest self. Later, Wilbert Hanson would discover a similar truth in his professional world. Working in a corporate environment often known for its stress and competition, he began applying Eleanor's principle of intentional joy. Instead of complaining about challenges, he would approach each interaction with genuine appreciation. His colleagues began to notice. Meetings that once felt tense now carried an undercurrent of mutual respect. Projects that seemed impossible started flowing with unexpected ease. Wilbert wasn't forcing change, he was embodying it. His radiant approach became a silent invitation for others to step into their own potential. The teaching here transcends personal transformation. It speaks to a universal principle. Radiance is not about convincing others, but about being so fully aligned with your inner truth that your very presence becomes an inspiration. You don't lead through argument or force, but through the magnetic quality of your own peaceful, joyful energy. Let joy become your posture, and see how the world stands taller beside you. Chapter 30. The Divine Arrival. In the quiet moments between breaths, you are discovering a profound truth that has eluded countless seekers before you. Enlightenment is not a distant mountain to be conquered, but the very ground beneath your feet. Gertrude Ellis understood this with a clarity that transformed ordinary moments into sacred revelations. Your journey is not about reaching a final destination, but about expanding continuously, like light spreading across an infinite horizon. Each experience, each challenge, each moment of joy is not a test to be passed, but an invitation to deeper understanding. The path of radiant living is not about perfection, but about presence. Imagine for a moment how the universe breathes through you. not as a distant concept, but as living, pulsing energy. Your awareness is the bridge between the seen and unseen, between the mundane and the miraculous. Every action, when performed with consciousness, becomes a prayer. Every breath, a meditation. Luther Reeves discovered this while performing the most ordinary of tasks, washing dishes. As soap bubbles caught the sunlight, he realized that sacred moments are not reserved for grand stages or mountaintop experiences. They live in the simple acts of daily life, waiting to be recognized. When you approach life with this understanding, something profound shifts. The boundary between the spiritual and the physical dissolves. Your work becomes worship. Your challenges become teachers. Your relationships become mirrors reflecting the infinite potential within you. Radiant living is not about adding something to yourself, but about removing the layers that hide your true essence. It's about remembering that you are already whole, already complete, already connected to something far greater than your individual story. The universe does not discriminate. It responds to your vibration, to the energy you consistently emit. When you choose joy, when you select gratitude, when you decide to see beauty in the ordinary, you align yourself with the creative force that moves through all things. Your path is unique, yet universal. Your struggles are personal, yet collective. Your growth is individual, yet interconnected with the entire web of existence. Each step you take is both a personal journey and a contribution to the collective consciousness. Close your eyes once more and feel the vast serenity that declares this is your divine era, already begun. Part 4. The Continuation of Becoming. Chapter 31. The Horizon of Wonder. You stand at the threshold of understanding that life's most profound moments are not grand theatrical performances, but quiet revelations waiting to be witnessed. Della Morton's story illuminates this sacred truth, that wonder is not something acquired, but something remembered. For years, Della moved through her days like a traveler hurrying through a landscape without truly seeing. Her mornings were mechanical, coffee, routine, responsibilities. Until one dawn, something shifted. As sunlight began to caress the world, she noticed dewdrops clinging to grass blades, each droplet a tiny prism catching and refracting light. In that moment, she paused. The dew did not try to be anything other than itself. Each droplet reflected the world perfectly, effortlessly, a miniature universe suspended between earth and sky. Della felt something stir within her, a remembrance of the magic that exists in every breath, every moment, when one simply stops to truly observe. This was not just seeing, but witnessing. Curiosity, that pure, childlike state of open-hearted exploration, began to bloom inside her like a long, dormant seed. She realized that wonder is not about grand experiences, but about radical presence. It is trust made visible, a silent conversation between your inner landscape and the universe's infinite creativity. Warren Parks understood this wisdom differently. A man once trapped in the monotony of corporate commutes, he began a subtle practice of deep observation. Instead of burying himself in phone screens or worry, he started noticing, truly noticing, the world around him. The amber light catching a stranger's hair, the intricate patterns of clouds drifting overhead, the subtle emotions dancing across fellow commuters' faces. Each day became a canvas, and Warren's attention was the paintbrush. His curiosity was not aggressive or demanding, but gentle and receptive. He allowed life to reveal itself moment by moment. And in this allowing, something miraculous occurred. Joy began to radiate from him, almost imperceptibly at first, then with increasing brightness. Friendships emerged naturally. Opportunities appeared without striving. His work transformed not through strategy, but through the simple act of being fully present. Warren had discovered that when you approach life with wonder, life responds with abundance. The teaching here transcends mere observation. It is an invitation to rediscover your innate capacity for magic, not as something external, but as a state of being. Wonder reconnects you to the creative power that flows through all things, reminding you that you are not separate from the miracles surrounding you, but an integral part of them. Look at something simple near you, and linger until the ordinary turns miraculous, allowing that humility to open your frequency anew. Chapter 32. The Thread of Continuity. The horizon of wonder continues, revealing another layer of universal wisdom through the journey of transformation. You are standing at the threshold of understanding that change is not an enemy, but a gentle teacher whispering ancient truths about your innate resilience. Irene Roper's story unfolds like a delicate tapestry, each thread representing moments once perceived as losses, now recognized as sacred passages. She had spent years gripping tightly to jobs that no longer nourished her spirit, to relationships that had long since lost their vibrant connection. Fear of the unknown had been her constant companion, creating invisible chains that held her in places of comfortable discomfort. When the inevitable shifts came, when jobs dissolved and relationships unraveled, Irene initially trembled. Yet something miraculous emerged in those moments of apparent dissolution. She discovered that the true constant was not external circumstances, but her own luminous awareness. Each ending became a gateway, not a termination. The universe whispers a profound teaching through such experiences. Continuity is not about maintaining rigid structures, but about understanding the fluid nature of existence. Your life is not a series of disconnected events, but a rich, evolving narrative where every chapter informs and enhances the next. Byron Pratt embodied this wisdom when he chose to relocate across the vast landscape of the country. Everything familiar: the coffee shop where he'd known the barista's name, the park where he walked his dog, the office where he'd spent years, vanished like morning mist. Yet something extraordinary remained unshaken: his internal peace. Byron realized that true stability resides not in external markers, but in the depth of one's awareness. He carried his center with him, unbound by geography or circumstance. His inner landscape remained serene, a testament to the understanding that you are not defined by what surrounds you, but by the consciousness you bring to each moment. This revelation transforms how you perceive change. No longer a threat, it becomes an invitation, a sacred choreography of growth where each step, each release, each new beginning is perfectly orchestrated by a wisdom far beyond linear understanding. Your experiences are not random. They are intricate brushstrokes in a masterpiece of becoming, with you as both the artist and the canvas. Every perceived loss carries the seed of a deeper alignment, every ending a doorway to unexplored territories of self. As the chapter reaches its contemplative conclusion, you are invited into a practice of profound recognition. Sit still for a moment and sense the unbroken presence observing all your memories, softly realizing that you have never truly been separate from your own wholeness. Chapter 33. The Song Beyond Time. You stand at the threshold of understanding, where music and silence dance together in eternal embrace. Hannah Wolf's revelation ripples through the fabric of perception, inviting you to listen deeper than sound, to sense the boundless awareness that cradles every note, every breath. Music, you learn, is but a momentary expression of something far more profound. Like waves rising and falling upon the vast ocean of consciousness, melodies come and go, yet the underlying silence remains unchanged. It is the great container, the timeless backdrop against which all experiences play out. When Hannah first recognized this truth, it was not through intellectual understanding, but through a sudden, visceral knowing. One evening, as her favorite symphony reached its crescendo, she noticed something extraordinary. The notes, passionate, fleeting, intricate, were simply ripples on the surface of an infinite, unmoving presence. The music would end. The instruments would fall silent, but something would remain. Unchanged, eternal. This is the divine listener within you, the consciousness that witnesses without judgment, that experiences without being consumed. It is the part of you that remains constant while everything around you transforms. Like the sky that remains unchanged, whether clouds drift across it or storms rage, your essential nature is untouched by the movements of life. Bernard Poole understood this in a different key. Reading poetry to his granddaughter, he felt time dissolve. The words, the generations, the moment itself, all seemed to hover in a spacious now. His voice carried stories, but beneath the narrative was a deeper transmission. The love that connects, the awareness that listens. You are that awareness, not the thoughts that come and go, not the emotions that rise and fall, but the spacious consciousness that holds them all. Like a movie screen remains unchanged by the images projected upon it, your inner landscape remains serene, watching the play of life with gentle curiosity. The thread of continuity is not about holding on to things, but about recognizing the unbroken awareness that flows through all experience. Each moment is a unique expression, yet rooted in the same infinite ground of being. As the chapter's practice beckons, let yourself rest. Breathe. Feel the music beneath all motion, where life hums endlessly, already perfect. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. The divine era was never something ahead of you. It was always unfolding inside you. What has changed now is your seeing. Through every story, teaching, and practice, you have remembered that the universe answers in resonance, not resistance. You stand at the threshold of a profound awakening, where the boundaries between your inner world and the vast cosmic dance blur and dissolve. Each chapter you've journeyed through has been a mirror, reflecting the infinite potential that has always resided within you. The stories of Ruby, Cora, Eleanor, and countless others were not separate tales, but echoes of your own unfolding. The universe has been whispering to you all along, communicating through the language of energy, vibration, and intention. Your life is not a series of random events, but a symphony of conscious creation. Every thought you nurture, every emotion you cultivate, every belief you choose becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of your reality. Your alignment is not something to be achieved, but something to be remembered. Like a musical instrument returning to its perfect pitch, you are learning to resonate with the fundamental frequency of abundance, love, and possibility. The luck you once chased externally is now recognized as an internal state of being, a natural outcome of your harmonized consciousness. Trust has become your companion, gratitude your power, joy your most potent manifestation tool. You understand now that these are not just emotions, but energetic transmissions that communicate directly with the universal intelligence that surrounds and permeates all things. Your life hums in harmony with creation when you live as the vibration of appreciation, trust, and joy. The luck you sought is simply your alignment, restored. Carry forward this awakening and know that every moment you choose love over fear, every breath you fill with gratitude, you step again into the luminous current of the divine. You are the evidence that the universe is kind and that abundance is the natural state of being. The divine era is now, and it is forever yours.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.